Hello, this is Irene Katkidi with jamplay.com. Welcome to week 3 of my Riffs and Rhythm live course. Today we're going to be looking at funk chords. Last week we had a blues kind of funky riff and laid down some foundations for a little bit of 16th note grooves and picking in shuffle. This time we're not going to be doing shuffle, it's going to be a straight groove, straight funk. So let me just dive into it and we'll come back to check it out. All right. Okay, so that was our riff for this week. Clean tone, as you noticed, very light little gain, if you like, and mostly we're getting the tone from our dynamics and from our right hand picking or strumming better. So let's go and see what happens here. This is in G minor, first of all, key of G minor. I'm trying to keep it interesting by putting in some different keys every time, because we all know the usual ones, but sometimes we might not have played in some of the keys. So anyway, we're in G minor, and the first thing I'm gonna mention is that we're gonna be around position 4 of that chord. So, but I'm just playing a different fingering here. It's gonna be, I'm just adding this minor 7th, this F note on the top, just because it sounds cool. So fingering here is going to be A string, 10th fret, 12th fret on the D string, 10 again on the G, 11 on the B, and 13 on the high E string. So that's what we've got. Very pretty sounding. And I'm just going to show the second chord as well, because we're going to jump into it quite quickly. I think I'm going to break down everything in pairs of bars, so every 2 bars, right? And then I'm just moving my little finger from that 13th fret on the high E string to the 12th. And this is spelling out a G minor 13 chord. And this also implies a Dorian mode, but don't worry about that too much if you're not comfortable with modes. But essentially, this is the sound we're giving to it. It's not like 100% minor. It's got this major 6th or 13 into that chord change. So this is what we're implying. This is the movement of the voice. That's not the exact rhythm, but that's what the motion it feels like. So what do we have to do now in order to play this with a authentic tone? First of all, we talked about the sound from the amp. You don't want to have a drive for this. Probably clean tone with a compressor, or you could use the drive channel like I'm doing now, but I've just rolled down the drive almost, well, that's at number 4 or 3, depends on your amp setting. You might even need to go lower. So this is now giving me a bit of compression just because it's the overdrive channel, but I'm actually, to me, this is a clean tone. Also, I'm using my middle pickup. This is something to experiment. It tends to sound nicer, the middle pickup, just because it sounds more round and you don't have a lot of high end, which might create a very, very scratchy tone for the muted ones. Although you might actually like it, so you can experiment with these. I kind of like the middle pickup for this type of riff. So yeah, that's tone-wise and guitar-wise, but now we need to talk about the right hand. Now that's, again, no surprise, is the most important part of this type of strumming. The thing to remember is that we're in the 16th note world now. So that means that all the eighth notes are downstrokes, and the second and the fourth, 16th note are upstrokes. So your hand is constantly thinking like that. Even if we're not picking any notes, the hand is moving in 16th notes all the time, even if it's a little motion in between the gaps and the rest. So if you want to get used to that, you can start by tapping your foot, any tempo, even if it's slow tempo. You can give us like a slight dynamic to the beats. So 1E and a 2E and a 3 and a 4E, and just so it keeps you in time. And that's one part, getting used to the down and ups all the time. Obviously, our wrist now is in an open position. It's not like when we play lead or the muted riffs like we did the last two lessons. This is a different position. This is an open position, a strumming position, and you want to get used to thinking about your wrist as if it's in a sort of stable, invisible position. So it's not moving like that. You know, the wrist kind of has its own area where it sits, and then the rest of the hand kind of rotates around that. So imagine as if this is somehow sitting on the air, and it's not moving too much. That's the right hand. Now the left hand has the task of playing the chords and also muting, or if you like, removing pressure. I think it's better to explain it like this, because what happens is we press the chord, and then for the notes that I'm notating with the X's, I'm removing pressure. It's not palm muting. This is similar to what we did last week. It's a percussive note. So that means that I'm touching the strings, because I don't want to hear any open string noise. I'm lightly touching them, and they get this percussive muted sound. So you can experiment with that if you haven't started playing around this style by picking one chord, for example this one, and just trying both the open sounds, the normal sounds, so and the muted sound. So or mixing them about. This is a very common rhythm anyway. We'll look at it into this rhythm part as well. And this is more or less what we have to think about. So right hand does the strumming, down, up, thinking in 16th notes. Left hand playing the chords and making sure to remove the pressure from the chord every time we need to play a muted or a scratchy note from the right hand, which is to keep us in a percussive, funky tone. I mean, if you know, this has been laid down since years ago from early bands like James Brown bands, all the Motown bands, they have this type of funk strumming. Chic with Nile Rodgers. It's a little bit, I mean, actually this is it has a little bit of disco influence to the backing track as well. And even modern bands later on, you know, like Red Hot Chili Peppers and, or even before that, you know, there's tons of funk players in all these groundbreaking bands. And this is something that is definitely necessary in your playing. If you're going to arrange a song, if you're going to play with a singer, or even if you want to just jam by yourself, it's very, very rhythmic and very, you know, very common actually. You know, if you're going to accompany something, you're most probably going to start thinking funk first of all, just because of the fact that it's very rhythmic and it definitely implies a groove straight away. So that's what we're doing here. This is 16th notes in different groupings. Okay, so we've got the first bar. I'm just gonna go and demonstrate everything slow. I have this G-7 chord, and the first grouping is a dotted 8th note and a 16th. Now, if you think about what I said before, that, you know, first and third 16th note are downstrokes, second and fourth 16th note are upstrokes. This explains the strokes that you see notated in the tab. So it's important to follow those exactly. So this is like a down up, the first beat. That's beat 1. Beat 2, 3 and 4, they're all 16th notes, so we're going to be picking every single note and we're going to follow exactly what's written. So we've got 2 muted notes, 1 proper chord, another muted for beat 2. So that's good. That's like and actually if you notice, I'm putting fewer notes with the X mark for the muted note chords. That's because you don't necessarily want to hit all the strings, so it doesn't have to be. This is kind of a more hard strum, so usually when you play funk, you aim for the 4 high strings of the guitar. Maybe even fewer, maybe the 3. That's why I've notated 3 notes for the muted part, because it doesn't necessarily have to be that big. You only want the effect, that scratchy tone. You don't necessarily want to be, you know, the same as the chord that you just played. Just as long as we hear this in-between percussive fill. So let me play beats 1 and 2 together. So 3, 4. 3, 4. That's beat 2. Again, 3, 4. So what I'm thinking now is that my downstroke is going to be that open chord. All the others are going to be the muted notes in beat 2. I'm moving on to beat 3 and 4, which are exactly the same. And this is pretty symmetric. I've got my first 2 16th notes with a chord, third and fourth 16th note with a muted strum. So this is going to be like down up again. So oops, that's like the example I showed in the beginning. So it goes if you notice again, I'm doing this muted strum quite low. I'm not going. I think this sounds more rocky as well, so to stay, you know, close to that authentic tone, we want to aim for the high string. So I'm just going to put all 4 beats together, and this is quite basic because this rhythm is going to be repeating every other time. So it's like our call rhythm, if you like, and we're going to have a response which is different every time. So I'll play the whole of bar 1, so 3, 4. And a bit slower, and 3, 4. And that's our bar 1. G minor 7 with a nice voicing on top, voice leading of the F note. And then I'm moving to G minor 13, which is the easy, you know, switch back 1 fret on the high E string. So now this is shorter. This is our response. It's, if you look at it, first 2 beats are the same as bar 1. The rhythm is the same, just a different chord. So I don't think I need to talk about this too much. It's going to be again down, up, down, up, down, up, down. Beat 3 is different. It's just a sharp, or actually quite a snappy strum for that chord to accent it. It's got an accent, as you notice. I'm going to talk about beat 4 and in a little while. So let me just play bar 2, yeah, I mean, the only difference, major difference, is beat 3, which is a longer note. And it goes 3, 4. And now what was that last bit I added? This is like a preparation. So remember when I said before, when you play funk, your hand thinks all the time in 16th notes. So in a very long rest like this, because we've got almost 2 beats of a rest before we go to bar 3, you don't want to stay still and lose the groove. So your hand is still kind of thinking in 16th notes. So I'm just picking the last 2 very, very quietly just to get myself back into the groove. It's like a ghost note. Imagine it like that. So if I'm gonna loop bar 2, for example, it would be 3, 4. I mean, literally, these last 2 notes, you would barely hear them in the mix, but most of the times they would be there. Unless for some reason you want to just break with a whole band and to be completely quiet, that you would have to fit this into a different situation. So you listen to the band. If there is a break and everyone needs to stop, dead silent, then you probably wouldn't do anything there. But if the groove is going, you would find yourself doing that to get yourself back right into beat 1 of the next bar. So why don't I play these two bars with a click at 60. The tempo, the original tempo is 105, so I'll just show everything quite slow. Let's go 60, bars 1 and 2. And one more time, 3, 4. That's bars 1 and 2. Moving on to bar 3, it is exactly the same as bar 1. So I don't think I need to go into this. I'm just gonna go straight ahead to bar 4, which is a slightly different rhythm. Again, it's our G minor 13, but it's answering to the original rhythm a little differently. How is that now? It goes, So I've got 4 16th notes. The first beat is all strummed. Then I've got beat 2, muted strum, proper strum, 2 more muted strums. I'll just go for beat 2 because beat 1 is easy. That's it. Beat 2, I'm in bar 4 if anyone has lost me. So beat 2 of bar 4 is. So where's my accent, or actually my pick note? It's on the second 16th note, and that's an upstroke, if it helps you remember. So 3, 4, 1, because that's on 2. 1, 1. You can repeat this as many times as you need to get used to it. You can even loop it if you need to, and then I'm just going to go to beat 3, which is again an accented strum. And then you've got your usual, the one I mentioned before, the sort of ghost picking of the 2 last 16th notes to get yourself back into the groove. Let me just play this bar 4 very slow. So 3, 4. And and with the added. Notice my left hand, this is just putting pressure, releasing pressure for the scratchy ones. It's just a matter of synchronizing both hands. It's actually easier than it looks, simply because I don't have to change the fingering for the chord, at least, you know, I'm just staying on the same chord for the time being. So I'm just pushing, releasing, but making sure all the fingers stay in place, because you don't want others moving before others. Just everything going up, pressing, releasing, like that. One more time for this bar, 4, 3, 4. And the last two notes. I'm gonna put together bars 3 and 4, and then I'll play 1 to 4. With the click, 60, 2, 3, 4. One more time for bar 3, 4. Okay, I'm gonna play bars 1, 2, 3, 4, okay? So, 1, 2, 3, 4. And these are our four first bars, or first 4 bars. Right, well, English is definitely not my first language, as you probably realized, but that could be fun. Right, so I'm gonna move on to bar 5. This is our first repeat, if you notice. There's in bar 4, there's like a number one repeat, like an alternate ending, because we're going to go through the whole circle again with some variations. So bar 5 is an E flat major 7 chord. It's right here. That is frets 8 on the D, G, and B strings, and then fret 10 on the high E. This is like an inversion, so that's why it's got /B flat. It's not like a different note of the chord, it's just an inversion. It doesn't start from the root, it starts from the 5th. So this is your E flat major 7, and this is going to be exactly the same rhythm. So actually I think I'm going to do bars 5 and 6 together, because it's a different chord, but with exactly the same rhythm pattern as bars 1 and 2. If you go back to that, you'll realize it's the very same thing. So I'll just play this in one go right now, and then we can break it down a little bit. We know the rhythm already. So the rhythm is these were bars 5, 6. This was the same rhythm as do you hear it? It's exactly the same thing, with the difference that it doesn't have a variation. It's just the same chord for 2 bars. The other one had, you know, a change from G minor 7 to G minor 13. So this time it's even easier in that sense. This chord is easier to finger, by the way, from the left hand. So maybe I'll just do a very slow round of these 2 bars at 60. 3, 4. Two, 3, again. Last time, 3, 4. That's the one. Now you noticed how at some point there was just a little noise from the low string. This is something I meant to mention actually. This is what we need to do now. We need to mute. So how do we mute from the left hand? Mainly with the first finger as much as we can. So in the first chord, remember that this bar finger lightly touches the E, the low E string above. Doesn't play it, it just touches it. So you can avoid any noise if you're not aiming for the right strings. Although remember I said usually we're aiming for the high 4 strings. So we typically shouldn't have a problem, but just in case, you can guard yourself as well from the left hand. Same thing happens here. When I'm playing that E flat major 7, I'm touching with my first finger, again, the A string. Now there's nothing to help me with the E string in this case, and I can't really reach with my thumb in this case, so remember that for this one, you will have to aim lower for the strings, actually for the higher strings, so lower in height. It's kind of unlikely that you'll hit the E string. I mean, you might, but it's not very easy to do that. So if you aim for the high 4 strings, I mean, you're guarded for the A string, so you should be fine. But just bear this in mind, you know, the muting. And now, the same thing will happen for the next chord, which is what? It's a D minus 7. This is bar 7 of the tab /A. This is an inversion again. It's not like we're playing a different slash chord. It's just... It's the same type of inversion like the E flat major 7, but just for D minus 7. And again, I've got the same rhythm here. Bar 7 has the same rhythm for, well, like bar 1 or, like I said, this was the basic rhythm we studied in the beginning. This is going to be repeating quite a lot. This is our foundation here. So bar 7 is going to be the same exact thing that we've been doing all this time, which is now if you notice, I've got my thumb up. This is because I can definitely play this chord in this position, and this is helping me with the muting for the low, well, for the 2 low strings, because the second finger, it's not laying flat here. We're not doing any type of barring in order to touch the string above and help ourselves from muting. It's just properly fingering in an angled way. So I need my thumb here. I'll need it for muting. Now this is a slight change. If you notice, I mean, bar 7, I'll play it again slow in a bit. It's the same thing, just with a different chord. So this is the same rhythm we've been doing every other bar. And then it kind of goes to stay the same in bar 8, but it's got 2 additions in the end. So beats 1 and 2 are the same again as our 2-bar rhythm pattern, if you like. So this goes... We've done this before. I'll put it from bar 7, so... Now these 2, they serve as a fill or as a transition back to the beginning, because we've just completed one cycle of that rhythm part. This is an 8-bar rhythm part. And what am I playing? If you notice the fingerings, we know them already. By the way, let me just talk about the fingering for the D minus 7, which we just did. This is going to be fret 7 on D and G string. Fingers 2, 3 for that. then fret 6 on the B string with the first finger, and then fret 8 on the high E string with a little finger. Beautiful voicing. Very soul, funk soul influence. Same with that, with E flat major 7. Now, interestingly, E flat major 7, the one we just played 2 bars ago, is now appearing here as a C minor 9. How do we know it's a C minor 9? We know because the backing track has a C note on the bass. So all these chords, they can be different things depending on the environment and the harmonic environment. So this time the bass goes C, F, and the shape we just played was an E major 7, but with a C on the bass. So I could have written E major 7 / C, but that might have confused everyone. So I just prefer to write C minor 9, which is actually what it is, because an E flat major 7 with a C on the bass is like a C minor 9 chord. That's on beat 3 for bar 8. And then the last one, which says F11, again we know. Well, we haven't played it yet, but this is what? This is like this is a C minor 7, isn't it? For anyone who's used that chord already, it's a C minor 7, and the bass is playing an F. So that becomes essentially an F11, right? So you can think of it both ways, either a C minor 7 / F or an F11, which I've notated. So this is our transition. So bar 8 in total would be let me play bars 7 and 8. Yeah, I'll play 7 and 8 at 60, and then I'll put 5, 6, 7, 8. So tempo is 60, 3, 4. One more time. 3, 4. I'll play bars 5, 6, 7, 8, all our new chords. Again at 60. If you want to get used to the 16th notes before even playing, you can do I'm going. Yeah, so if you want to get into the groove and you're not 100% sure yet, you can definitely use this. You can start playing some muted, no chord, just just a muted tone to get to the 16th note feel. Okay, so we've done half of the track already. I mean, the second part shouldn't be that challenging because a lot of things are repeating. For example, the first 2 bars are exactly the same. So again, we would go back to the beginning doing we know these already. Third bar is also the same. It's exactly like bar 1 anyway, so. And then we're moving on, we're jumping on this repeat to alternate ending number 2. So if you notice, alternate ending number 2 is in bar 9. Now, we have again a G minor 13, but with a different rhythm. What do you see? There's no muted notes here. Everything is picked and there's a crescendo below, which means we gradually have to increase dynamic. Another interesting thing we can do to variate this thing. So, okay? how do we variate this dynamic? How do we make this crescendo happen? You could think about it as picking some high strings. I know I've notated all, but essentially, realistically, you might need to play fewer strings, and then as you build it up, play the whole thing. So. And for the last one, obviously, because it has an accent, you want to dig in with the pick more. That's how you can get a louder tone, by, digging in a bit deeper with the pick. So these are the first 3 beats, because it's 1 E and a 2 E and a 3. And. And again, our usual 2 last 16th notes in that bar to get us back into the next bar. So 3, 4. I'm looping this bar. You can hear how it builds up. And then I'm going back to my E flat major 7, because essentially what's the harmony like? It's, if you think about it, it's 2 repeats of G minor, 1 of E flat major 7, and then 1 of D minor 7, or something else that we'll see in a bit. E flat major 7 now has the same rhythm essentially, but I'm just adding a little cute, it's like it's a hammer-on. It's just, instead of playing the chord from the beginning like that, I'm going just a prettier way to just more soul. It sounds more soul. And I'm adding some more fills to it just to embellish the chord. But essentially it's the same thing. E flat major 7, the same shape we had before, but instead of playing it straight away, I'm hammering onto it. In time, this is a 16th note again, so again it's down up, but I'm just using my left hand. And I'm adding that at the end. So this is slightly different as well, isn't it? So I've got these are all strummed. So beats 2 and 3 are exactly the same as before, but beats 1 and 4 have changed slightly. I think I'll do that a few times just because it's, a little different because of the hammer-on. But let me just do that slow so you can get the feel. So it's 3, 4. And 2 chords in the end, right? So 3, 4. Last one, and bar 11, still the same thing, same as beat 1 of the previous bar. And now I'm starting to spice it up a bit. So I've got more frets going on. If you look at beat 2, except for my muted notes, I've got these 2 additional notes. Fret 10 on the B string, fret 8 on the B string. So I'm changing the chord up. These 2 are both with downstrokes because they're in the eighths. They're 8th notes, so remember what we said about straight eighths that are not asymmetric, and they're in their place. They're in either down or up. So these 2 are going to be played with downstrokes, if that makes sense. So first beat. First beat. like before. Second beat of bar 11 and 3, 4, 1 and this is isolating beat 2 of bar 11. I can loop it. I'll put it together with beat 1 of bar 11, so 3, 4, again. I'm just playing bar 11 completely now because I've just added the last two 16th notes like we usually do. I mean, you can imagine that as if you were in a drum kit and you're doing like 2 ghost notes on the snare to get back into the groove. Ticka-tong, ticka-tong. This is the same thing on the guitar. Ticka-tong, ticka-tong. Ticka. 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 Okay, so this is bar 11. I'm just going to put it together with bar 10 with the click. Let's hear it. 3, 4. Two, 3, 4. These were bars 10, 11, and why didn't I put the 2 bars before that? Or actually it's 4 bars before that, so... No, let me do the last 2 and I'll play the whole round 2 of the riff completely. So bars 12 and 13. Now, before we had a D minor 7, that was our change. Now we're going somewhere else. We're going to a C area and we're playing a C sus4. This is easy. This is frets 10 on D and G string and frets 8 on B and high E. If you've ever played Good Times, you'll definitely know that. Actually, it doesn't go like that. It goes... That's the very chord. So I'm sure you've got it in your ear somewhere. We're going to use that here too, just to stay in this sort of vibe. It is, after all, one of the common voices for this style. So yeah, C sus4, the same rhythm again. This is like bar 1. It's always our cold rhythm, never changes. Imagine it like an A part, and every other bar is the B part. So this is going to be the rhythm we know it is. So it's... We didn't do anything, I didn't change anything, I just put a different chord onto the same rhythm part. So 3, 4. Notice what I'm doing with the second finger. I'm muting. I'm not using this for the chord, so I might as well use it to get rid of any noise that might present itself. You know, when you're playing standing, you want to be able to not have to think about where exactly you're picking, unless it's absolutely necessary, because all the fingers are busy like we had before. So here you don't, so finger 2 is a good way to mute. I'll show that again. 3, 4. I mean, by now this rhythm should be should be imprinted in your head because we've played it so many times. Last time, 3, 4. And again, notice, this is a wide motion, you know, we're not like... I mean, the reason being is because actually we're not playing that fast. The faster you play in funk, the more this movement will be refined. But remember the tempo. Remember that, like, again, like a drummer with their drumsticks, the motion, the length of the motion is bigger as we have a slower tempo, smaller as we have a quicker tempo. So the same happens to our right hand as well. This is as if this is your drumstick. You don't have anything else here. So this is what dictates your groove, because you know you'll realize that in a set tempo, this right hand has a set width. It doesn't go crazy. It's not uncontrollable. It's standard. Every tempo you'll see that your hand needs to move in a specific range. Okay? So this is it here. You'll see it quite wide. Don't forget that. And I'm going to move on to the last bar, which is bar 13. This has a change to a C major triad. So where I was changing one finger, putting it to, I mean, I'm using frets 10 on the D, 9 on the G, and 8 on the B and E strings. This is typical C major. And let's have a look at the last change, which is in the last 16th note of beat 2. This is an A minor, actually, from a C, as it's notated. You could think of it as a C major triad with an added 6th. This is one of the chords that Hendrix would use a lot anyway, so you might have seen this before. And here's what happens here. We don't have any scratchy notes, any percussive notes. Everything is picked. Again, we've got crescendo, so we need to use our right hand to create this dynamic, this opening up in the sound. And it goes like this. Again, 3, 4. Three, 4. Careful with muting here. You can either do that, you can use your thumb if you can reach out to play the chord. Otherwise, just be careful and aim for the high strings only. And another trick you could use, just because we're not using a lot of distortion, this is something you can get away with. The pick can, you know, as you go up, it can move a bit outside of the strings, you know, so it's not going, I'm going. It's kind of an angled movement. This can help you to not hit these two strings, just because we don't have enough distortion now to get that noise happening. So if you don't have your thumb up, this is another trick to use. You know, experiment with these. These are things that you'll notice as you play yourself. You'll find your own ways. You might even find something smarter. So I'll just play bars 12 and 13 with a click, and then we can put the whole thing together. So bars 12, 13. 3, 4. One more time. 3, 4. Don't forget that this A minor / C, or C add 6, whatever you want to call it, comes on the last 16th note of beat 2 in bar 13. It doesn't come on the beat, it comes on that last 16th note. So remember, it's an up. If you want to note that in your head, it goes. You can practice up to that point if you want to get used to it. So. And of course, because of the fact that it's right there, it gives a nice displacement to the beat. Okay, great work. We've done everything. I'm gonna play the whole thing in the two slow backing tracks, which are gonna be in 75 and 90 BPM. And I've also included a long version for the actual tempo, which is 105. I'm not going to use it now, but this is for you to jam, because obviously this is a short riff, but because you might want to just practice, you want to keep practicing on the backing track, I've created a long one, which is about 3-4 minutes long in the original tempo. So you can keep playing and add your own fills and your own stuff. Right, let's start at 75. This is going to be quite slow, but I'll play the whole thing. All right. Brilliant. 90, let's move a bit faster. Hang on, that was the second repeat, my bad. Let me do it again. And why not, let's do the full speed one last time, like in the beginning. Don't forget, in a little while, I'm gonna be answering all your questions, so feel free to ask me anything you like, and if you need more questions and you didn't get the time today, you can always find me in social media. I'm hanging out mostly on Instagram, so you can definitely ask me anything you like there. Right, thank you all. Let me do this one last round. 105. And that's the one. Yep, thank you very much again for your hard work and focus. This is great stuff. We've got one more type of rhythm laid down. This was funk chords, week 3 of Riffs and Rhythm. I was Irene Katakiti, and I'll see you in a little bit with questions. Thank you very much. Okay, hello everyone, I'm back, and I hope you enjoyed this week's funk chord strumming. I certainly did. It's one of my favorite styles to play. So let me answer some questions. It was a bit of a long lesson, so hopefully it was very detailed, but let's see if you have some questions. Yeah, we've got here Urbano, he's asking, how do you keep your pick that loose? I'm wondering if you mean how I keep the pick or the whole picking hand. If you're talking about the pick, I mean, I just hold it, I don't know if you can see it. I just hold it normally. I've got a bit of a gap here, if that helps. I'm not holding it too close to that part of the finger. I'm holding it towards the end of that, so this helps kind of, you know, this gap here always helps because it means less tension for strumming. Now if you're talking about the whole right hand, which you probably are, it's just like getting used to strumming and breathing at the same time, you know, like a singer would do. A singer, when they strum the chords and they sing at the same time, they definitely have to breathe in between the words. So you don't have to sing, but you can try doing that with just normal breathing on top of the playing. So like, I'm kind of exaggerating the motion now of the breathing just to show you that I'm not stopping breathing during playing. And this is what helps getting everything loose. So not only the picking hand, but also the fretting hand. So yeah, if you're talking about that, make sure you breathe normally while you do the strumming, as if or even you can talk while strumming. If you can do that, that'd be great. And then just remember to keep your right hand not leaning on the guitar. It has to be on the air to just do this rotation. That's how. And you can even practice without any chord just to get used to this motion, right? It's as if you've got cramp and you're trying to get the hand to work. So I hope this helps. Right, P. Simona, if you're mostly focusing on the high strings, is it necessary to make the full chord shape across all 6 strings? Yes, actually that's an excellent question. It is, because it can't be, you know, no guarantee that you won't go a little higher up or lower down while strumming. So it's best to keep it in place anyway, or just in case you need to do a bass note. But mainly to keep the muting going on here, if you can, you know. If the chord is, you know, if all the fingers are busy with a chord, you might want to use your thumb, or just aim for the high strings anyway. But if you get a chance to play a bar, if it's a bar chord and the first finger can actually fret the chord, it's easier because, you know, your fingers remember it anyway. It's an easier way to fret the chord, and also you get the extra muting. And in case anything goes wrong from the right hand, you covered. The notes will be in tune. So yeah, okay, well that's it for today then. I guess we'll wrap it up. I hope, like I said, that you enjoyed it, and next time I'm going to combine some funk and rock, so everything we're learning together, building it up together. And yeah, great work. Thank you everyone for watching. Well done, and I'll see you in the next one.